Where was he from?
He was from Germany, from the Munich area. I'm not exactly sure what. I think he was from Munich. And he had been making guitars. There was a music store in Toronto called Mundinger Music. And Mr. Mundinger knew Edgar from Germany and invited him to come to Canada and make guitars exclusively for Mundinger Music. So they kind of made a deal, and Edgar moved with his family to Toronto and made guitars there, and they were being marketed by Mundinger Music. Then Jean Larrivée met him at a guitar concert, and he said, just kind of an off-the-cuff comment, I'd give anything to learn to make guitars. And Edgar said to him, come to my shop on Monday and we'll start. Something like that. That's how it went. So then Larrivée was working full-time in an auto body shop. He was a Class A mechanic, but he ended up doing body work, and he was good at that. In fact, I met people in much, much later years after I had not been working with Larrivée anymore, but I met one of his old co-workers in the GM auto body shop that he had worked in. And this fellow told me, we called him the Wizard. Whenever there was something that we thought was impossible, we'd give it to Larrivée and he'd fix it up.
How did you meet Jean?
I also met him at a guitar concert. But I knew of him because I was taking classical guitar lessons at the time. And my teacher, Ellie Kastner, had an Edgar Mönch guitar, which I fell in love with. I thought this was just the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen, this guitar. I had a cheap but fairly decent Japanese guitar. But anyway, of course, the Mönch guitar was in a whole different class. Then, about a half a year into my lessons, he showed me a guitar almost as beautiful as the Mönch guitar and sounding just as good that was made by a young guitar maker in Toronto, Jean Larrivée. That blew me away. I thought, holy smokes, there's someone here doing this? A few months went by, and I was at a classical guitar concert, and I met Jean. By that time, I was in teacher's college. I figured it'd be pretty good to become a school teacher because you get the summer off and so on. Anyway, I met John at this guitar concert, and I asked him about the possibility of working with him. He said, well, come to my shop Tuesday and we'll talk about it. So Monday I went into school, Toronto Teachers College, said goodbye to everybody, and Tuesday I went into Larrivée's shop and started working there for 8 hours a day.
Were there other people there when you went there?
No, he had already taught a couple people, or rather, better way to put it, he had been babysitting a couple people through building a guitar in his workshop, because he made an arrangement with a fellow who's still a friend of mine and a friend of Jean's, Bruce West, who was an expert machinist. So Jean Larrivée wanted to make various jigs and tools for his shop, so he made a deal with Bruce. You come to my workshop, and I'll guide you through building a guitar, and I'll come to your. And then Bruce invited him to his shop to make jigs and tools, and it worked out well for Bruce because Bruce would make every jig that Jean wanted to make. Bruce would make them for himself because Bruce thought he might continue making guitars. And there was one other fellow, Frank Titman, who had made one guitar in Jean's shop. He wasn't apprenticing with Jean or anything, but he was a friend of Edgar Mönch, and he also had been getting advice from Edgar Mönch, and I think he got wood from Edgar Mönch. They were both German from the same town. So I believe he made a guitar in Larrivée's shop, but I'm not sure. In any case, he was there every now and then while I worked with Larrivée, and he'd get advice and some instruction from Larrivée. But I was his first actual apprentice who worked full-time with him. About 6 months into working with him, then Grit Laskin came into the shop. So then there were the two of us, and it wasn't long after that there were 4 of us there. Another fellow came who had come from Mossman Guitars, Jim Hale, and he was doing the finishing because Jean wasn't too keen on, didn't like the finishing process very much. And so Jim Hale was apparently expert at that, and he was doing that. He was doing the lacquering and then the sanding and buffing of the guitars. But it was the three of us, Jean, Grit, and myself, that were building the guitars. Anyway, that's how it started.